Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our movie club. Today we are going to discuss Russian movie Age of Pioneers or The Spacewalk. So it's a movie based on real story, on real life or a true story. As usually corrected me in a chat. Yeah. So and it's about space, and we like space sagas in general. Yeah. Yeah. And what else? Let's discuss. Let's as always. Let's start from the story itself. So Vasant, could you please start?
Yes, this movie is about checking, or how to say that, to enter into the space competition for the first time in history. So at the time, both USSR and USA were planning to enter into space, but unfortunately, USA planned to launch their ship yearly earlier than USSR. So the officials decided to shift the mission 2 years earlier than it was planned.
Yeah,
So
Vasant, I'm sorry. I will make a small remark. In Russia, we at that time we were crazy about Americans. Just we just need to beat them hard. So nothing matter. Nothing matter. So no logic, no like real circumstances. Just let's do it before them. That's all. Usually in America, what do you think? Was it the same way, or you don't care?
It was the same way. That's why Kennedy said we're going to the moon by this year. We will put a man on the moon. So it's the same idea. Oh, the Russians have beat us in space. We got to be the first to be on the moon. So yeah, it's the same idea. The space race, right?
Space race, yes. So we were like brothers in that madness, I would say. So
Yeah.
and that's why we have this movie actually. So this movie, it's like about strong deadline, hard deadline that you cannot like postpone, right? Because we have to meet it because Americans are there. Sorry, Vasant,
Yeah.
for this remark. Could you please continue?
yes, and they chose two brave soldiers from the army, from the air force, I think. One of them is really brave, and the another one is somewhat brave, because he was he flew in the World War II, uh, but he didn't had any combat with it, so real fight. So he just flew the flight at the time, but they chose two of them, those two, and they sent them to a training, the parachute landing training, but unfortunately, the other one broke his ankle
Yeah.
when he was landing.
Yeah. So, but I don't think that he was not brave or something. He was just, obedient and considerate, right? So he has an order and he has an instruction that we don't have to jump because it's dangerous. So he just tried to follow. But the main character, Leonov, he was just, I would say, crazy, right? So he was just what's the word for that? Actually, how would we characterize him?
I used the word earlier. I would call him brash.
Brash.
He was kind of brave but reckless.
Yeah, reckless. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Jorgen, would you like to continue about the story,
Yeah, I can try.
please?
So, what's the last thing we mentioned?
We mentioned this broken leg, disaster when he went. Yeah.
Okay, and he Leonov is told to have a new workmate, and but visit Belev, or his old friend, in the hospital bed, and he was he thought about training him, so he had weights, and but they fell down to the floor, so his leg was in pain. And yeah, and, then he trains himself to be stronger,
Yeah.
lift beds, and okay.
So I think it's about recovery process. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
Can we say to recover? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it sounded like at the time his friend Pasha had kind of given up.
Yeah.
I broke my leg, I can't make it. Go with your new partner. But it seemed like later he decided, by God, I'm gonna get ready. Just I want to do this or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Vasant, please.
Yes, I like Leonov's character, especially when the choice of words. When he was on plane, he had an apple, but it was a rotten apple. So he didn't say that. He said, "Okay, I will eat it at home." It felt like, okay, he is brave. He is confident about his decision. So he is going to land smoothly, something like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was young and I would say overly confident. Yeah, he's just sure that everything will be okay. Whatever I do, I will be fine. It's my impression of his behavior. Yeah. One, could you speak now? Say hello to us, please. Nope. Okay, Gerard, would you continue, please, with the story?
Sorry, I couldn't watch the movie.
Okay, it's okay. We will explain it.
I'd like to mention two things about Leonov. I didn't catch the bruise on the apple based on what Vasant said, so that gave me an idea. I remember at the first of the movie, he was a test pilot, and he was he was flying in a jet, and it had a problem, and he couldn't eject because a mechanic had screwed up and left the ejection seat pinned. So when he landed on the ground, he took the pin out, gave it to the mechanic, who apparently was his friend, and said, "Hide this."
Yeah.
So he tried to prevent other people from getting in trouble or having embarrassment. So maybe with the apple, it's the same thing. When he got the apple, I'll save it for later. He didn't want to say, "You gave me a rotten apple." He just said, "I'll save it for later," to not embarrass the guy, So he seemed like he had a good personality in that respect.
Yep, I see. Yeah, nice point. Vasant, would you like to continue?
Yeah, and after that, after a long how to say that, a possession, he approached the higher officials about the fellow pilot's medical condition. So how do you say that?
After a long process of recovery, maybe, no?
Yeah. No, the approach to the higher officials. Pursue, how to say that?
I see. Yeah. So in space industry, and everywhere at that time, we have a very strong hierarchy. You just cannot how to say it, lap over the head. You report to your supervisor. You cannot skip him. Yeah.
Immediate supervisor, right?
Chain of command. Yeah.
Yeah, chain of command. Yeah. So Leonov tried to make his friend back. And that's why, reported directly to general, someone, commander of the mission. Yeah.
He ran in front of their car.
Yeah.
To force Pasha to run after him, so he could tell the leaders, "See, Pasha can run. He's recovered. He's healed."
kind of a trick, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vasant, please. It's what you tried to say, right? About the chain of command. Okay.
Yes, and they finally made him to recover completely from his how to say that?
Injury, yeah? Injury.
Injury, yeah. And they successfully completed the test, the practical training sessions. But as per the officials' planning, they had 2 space crafts designed. The one is for testing, and the another is the real one to be launched with the human.
Yep.
So the first one unfortunately failed. They lost contact with that space shuttle. So the next one completely.
Let me please insert some notes. The main problem about test shuttle, not that it's failed. The reason that they don't know the reason. They have no clue about the reason. So it's just failed without any telemetry sent. So no idea. So, and they have to meet a tough decision. Should we send a human now in the same like shuttle? I would say no, but you know, Americans, all these things, so we have to. Hello, Sergey. Could you speak, please?
Hello.
Yeah. Did you have a chance to watch the movie?
Yes, I watched
Okay. We just finished at the moment of failing the first shuttle. Do you remember this? So first shuttle was launched and disappeared. So, yeah. Can you continue with the story?
I don't remember what's happened after that.
Okay. Launched. Yeah. Launched. Yeah. So I always made the same mistake with ed and how we call it, consonant sound. How we call the sound? Usually, unvoiced.
Unvoiced. I don't know. ED is. I don't know the terms, but
yeah. So
but a key point in the movie was when the chief designer, the civilian, asked to meet them privately in their apartment.
Mhm.
That was a key turning point in the movie. And they said, "Why did you come here to our apartment to talk to us? You know, this is unusual." So that's, I think, a good point for someone to discuss the significance of that meeting, why he came there.
Well, it's interesting because we will look on this movie with different eyes, you know. So for you, it's a key event because you think that there was a choice, right? To fly or not to fly.
Yeah, I think there was. I think they could have said no. I think he would have supported them, not the military, but I think he bucks the military, right? He would resist the military sometimes. Military said no rescue, and he said no, we're going to rescue him. You know, so I think he would have.
Yeah. He was a big boss, right? He had a lot of authority. Yeah. He had a direct phone to the president or something. So he was a big boss. Yeah, but at the same time, these astronauts, they don't obey to him, not in his chain of command. They obey to military.
Okay.
So he kind of a boss for
program.
For engineers, for space shuttles, for all these things. But astronauts, they are military pilots. They in chain of command, and that's exactly what they told him. Why you came here? We ready. We are soldiers.
Well, plus Leonov told him, you know, in my childhood, we had this disaster. We survived. We had this one. We survived. We had this one. I'm not afraid. You know, it happened before. I can do this. You know, we are willing to take the risk.
I would say it's the main feature of his character. He's just sure that everything will be fine. Yeah. So he just don't care. I should to jump. Okay, I jump. Okay, no problem with all.
Yeah.
Okay, let's make this story shorter. So they decided to start the second shuttle with humans on the board, Belayev and Leonov, and they're going to accomplish their mission. So their mission actually is to make a spacewalk, right? To go to the outer space without ship in a spacesuit. Usually, is it spacesuit? Yeah, in a spacesuit, and make some photos. And it's supposed to be like a on-air translation to the whole world. That's the mission. After that, they have to return back and preferable in a living state. Yeah, but as always in Russia, it's not mandatory. It's just a second part, you know. Yeah. So the launch started, and they start to face some unusual, like unpredicted events. Not events. What? Mishaps.
Incidents. Yeah.
Incidents. Yeah. But can we say mishaps? Something.
Mishaps is okay too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sergey, do you remember this flight in the spaceship?
Yes, I remember this.
Please describe it.
And when Belayev and Leonov came to the space, and Leonov had to go outside the shuttle. And he started to go outside the shuttle. It was okay, without problem. He started to make a photo, to make a video, and Soviet Union television company translated this event, and all people watched this, and suddenly Leonov started to have problem with the ammunition.
With spacesuit, actually, yeah.
Spacesuit, and the pressure started to change. Pressure changed inside the suit, and Leonov couldn't move. And Leonov started to go outside far and far from this shuttle. And Leonov stopped to talk about this problem, but Korolev asked him, "What's problem? What's problem? What's happened?" In silence, and because how to describe earlier, we have this problem with the space program between US, between China, and between USSR, and we could have problem with solving.
Yeah, we cannot show our like fault.
Yeah,
we can show. Yeah, we better like, I don't know, masquerade it. We better keep silence about it, but we cannot. We just can't show. So what we do when we cannot show the event, we show ballet. Teacherly, it's the answer. For question. Yeah, but I think it was Teacher Lee who asked it a good question. Why Leonov keeps silent? And actually, there was an answer in the movie. Yeah, Sergey, do you remember?
It's a good question, because I think that the Soviet Union administration could put Leonov out from outside this shuttle, and Belayev came return alone without Leonov.
I understand you, but I think the answer is different. So your version is that if he reported, they just said, okay, leave him here, let's go back.
And second reason, and when Belayev described it when Leonov described it to Belayev about his silence, he answered, imagine this is now Korolev with the other partners started to make a meeting, and they started to discussing about it.
Yeah, I understand, but let me rephrase for others. So mostly Leonov kept silence because he did not want to have some manager meeting about his situation. So so he just decided not to take any orders, because if he reported, they would on the yours they would decide something and force him to do so. So he decided there is no like let's pretend there is an issue with a network or something. I will solve it by myself without you. So that was the reason. And answering your question, might they abandon him on the orbit? It's very possible, I say. So if they decide between like overall success of the mission and without one soldier, they would choose success for sure, without any doubt. Okay, so but as Sergey mentioned, so it was an inflation problem with his spacesuit, and he just could not bend his arms and legs to kick it back, and he found it like abruptly when he tried to make a photo and take a photo camera from his pocket. I cannot move, and he started to keep silent, and he was actually, I think, scared very much, and that's why he decided what to do. Yeah. So and yeah, and there was a problem with this. What's the name for this gate? Actually, yeah. This
We would just call it a door, airlock door.
airlock door. Okay, so there always was a problem with this airlock door. They mentioned that it works only 9 times from 10 attempts. Yeah, so because of this hassle with the spacecraft program, they knew that the problem is possible, and of course it's happened. Vasant, would you like to continue with the story?
Yes, and he entered upside down into the fish shuttle.
Airlock.
Yeah, the airlock, and the lock didn't work, and he tried his best to twist his body inside the airlock, and managed to lock the airlock manually, and he did it. After that, both and the whole world watched them successfully taking the photographs.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, they received a command from the base station that, okay, here, this is as far as we could do with the test shuttle. So hereafter, you're on your own, and we will know nothing about what will happen after that. So that's where the hardest part came. And there were a lot of technological glitch inside the space shuttle, and they managed to rectify them.
Okay, let me point a few things, like technical things. First of all, there was a period of silence, period when they could not communicate. It's just because of physics, the equipment was pretty primitive at that time, so they could communicate with the spacecraft only on like 1/2 of the sphere, and until the spacecraft under the yours, they could not communicate. Could you describe this better, teacher Lee?
The communications was line of sight.
Yeah.
So when the spacecraft got on the other side of the Earth, on the dark side of the Earth, they couldn't communicate, so they had to wait for it to come back around above the horizon so they could communicate. So they had what's called a blackout period of 12 hours where they couldn't communicate due to no line of sight. Yeah.
And they also could not help with anything, could not manage the spacecraft. So it's all astronauts were like sole drivers with the whole authority. Okay, right. And Vasant, you forget one important thing. I think when he went back to airlock to bend, he had to lose all the air in his suit, and it could kill him easily, because Belayev said you will have 2 minutes without oxygen. 2 minutes, it's a time to open another airlock. Usually, so it's 2 airlocks doors in this gate, right?
Right, inner and outer.
Yeah. Okay.
So the outer didn't close all the way, but he went in head first because his suit problem, and he was told never go in head first, but he had no choice. So he gave Pasha, there was a choice. He said, Pasha, blow the airlock, leave me here, save yourself. But Pasha said no. So it forced Leonov to say, what can I do? I need to turn around. I've got to deflate my suit. So he opened his mask, all the air came out, and he was able to close the airlock. But then he ran out of oxygen and died.
Yeah, almost.
So then Pasha had to hit him on the chest to CPR and bring him back.
Yeah, and then they what's the word for that? Throw this gate. What's the word for this? Like shut him.
Eject.
Eject.
Or
Oh.
blow.
Blow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was like a throwable part of the rocket. Yeah?
Disposable, right?
Disposable. Okay. Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
So disposable part of the rocket. So they ejected it and found another unpredicted thing. So the spacecraft started to rotate unpredictable, and it was not planned on the Earth when they planned the expedition. So, and it makes some problems for them. They don't like to stabilize
the rotation, yeah.
Rotation, because they try to save some fuel for landing or something, for correction for landing. So they were doomed to to rotate in this spacecraft for, like, I forget exactly, like they said 15 spirals, probably 15 times around the Earth with rotating, but they said we are in good physical form, it's okay for us, don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a question from one in our chat. Why did Leonov can turn around to close the hatch, but his ex? Yes, one, we just discussed it, because Leonov made like a trick. He risked his life, and he went out. What's the word?
He deflated his suit by releasing all air from the suit.
So, and it makes him like
more flexible.
More flexible. He got ability to bend and close everything. Actually, this airlock was not closed because of one reason. Do you remember this rope? He was attached to spacecraft. Yeah. So this tether just was in airlock. So he just removed it, and it's closed after. So
okay. I thought he just pushed it closed. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Jorgen, I think passed away. It has another connotation.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think he actually died, for a minute, but then he was, CPR brought him back to life. So passed away is probably not a good word. He was momentarily dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can we say it's like a clinical death or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then there was another incident with oxygen. Jorgen, do you remember with oxygen incident on the orbit?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Osans, do you remember this? Could you describe it?
Yeah, there was a leakage in the space shuttle, and it was filled with oxygen, only oxygen. So that could make them sleep, because of the overwhelming oxygen might make them sleep, and it may lead to a blow, because oxygen is a good trigger to flames, I think. So they got instruction from the base station to do it manually, to remove a connection wire. But the hardest part is there was an incident in this movie earlier that a trained electrician, a trained professional, couldn't do it. He did while he was trying to do that part. So they are amateur in this technique, but they somehow managed to do it with a flashlight on their hand. Initially, the one guy fainted because he went to sleep.
Mhm.
He fell asleep,
Mhm.
and the main guy, Leonov, somehow tried to remove the plug. And at the last point, at the very last point, he also fell asleep. But somehow his our subconscious mind and his his childhood nightmare made him wake up for a second, and he removed that plug immediately. And that saved them eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, it was like a poor engineering, like design. I would say poor design of this cable. It must be just a switch off. I think somewhere in a good place.
Yeah.
Hassan, please.
Yeah, and I thought when he went out of the space shuttle, he removed the lens cap, and they said, "What am I going to do?" And then they said, "Oh, just throw it away." I thought this might have an influence later in this movie. Because, yeah,
Yeah,
but it
I
didn't
agree.
happen.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that the point was different. The point was, that it's like a nuclear industry with Teacher Lee. It's what he showed us, that everything must be, prepared. So every like small detail, every gesture of these astronauts, they prepared and wrote in instruction. So,
Right.
but they did not like think about this. Yeah, and he was confused at that moment. Wow, I'm not trained to what to do with this exactly
That's
thing.
right. No pocket. Yeah, I got no pocket. What do I do with it?
But he wasn't sure. Maybe, if you don't put it back, it will cost you your life. Yeah, something.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Oh,
was-
really? Yeah, I kept waiting for it to come back to hit him later when it went around the Earth. But it never did.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it's kind of a contrast, I think, between the beginning of the journey when everything is prepared and the end. It's like a pure improvisation. We don't know anything, guys. Do whatever you do, but just return to the earth if you can. That's all.
A couple of interesting points. When they did the test flight, they got to a certain point and it blew up. So in the real flight, they got to that point and they said, okay, after this point, we've never done this before, so we don't know what can go wrong. So another thing is oxygen. The oxygen leaking into the cabin had two problems.
Mhm.
It's flammable, so if you make any spark, any metal to metal, you can blow up and you're dead. The second problem was we can breathe 20% oxygen air, but we can't breathe 100% oxygen. It's actually toxic or poisonous to us. So if we have too much oxygen, it poisons our system, and that's why they passed out. They passed out from too much oxygen, and the body's not designed to handle that.
Yeah.
So it was, and another thing I liked was it was constantly showing him now and him as a child. And it was constantly showing how what he was doing now related to his early memory of going into space. The fireflies, the stars, the floating feeling. And what made him pull that cable was he remembered when he was a kid, he was looking for the bird's nest. And he found the bird, and then it suddenly flew, and he went, whoa! And that's when he was unconscious. He went, oh! And he jerked the cable up. So that childhood memory saved his life.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the bird bite him.
Bite? Yeah.
Injured.
Okay. Okay, so they overcome all these issues. So time for landing. What can be wrong with landing? Sergey, teach us.
About 22 hours.
So I don't remember about 22. So tell us.
I remember that
Sergey, please, we don't hear you. Please come back.
I remember that they have problem with automatically system to landing, and the Russian space agency told to astronauts to they have to they had to have 22 hours flight around the world. After that, they will have special time for landing. But they was flying, but suddenly the automatical system for landing didn't work,
Mhm.
and the astronauts and the Russian Space Agency was thinking about what we have do, and the astronauts asked about the hand regime
Mhm.
for landing. Nobody want to allow this regime. Only Kar- Korolev told, "Okay, you fly with hand regime," and they scared that this ship landed of other country, for example, U.S., Europe, or China.
Yeah.
It was very important for us because after that the West country have known our secrets about space program.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
For
it was a concern of militaries. They say no,
yeah,
we cannot allow this. These bloody capitalists get
yeah,
our
yeah,
technology.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I think it could run both ways. If for instance some new jet from US will be forced to land in Russia, it will be a lot of concern about this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and there was a important moment. I think. Do you remember they changed their place in aircraft in spacecraft? They when they do this spinning, they change this place. And Korolev later said because they did that, they like changed the center of the mass of this spacecraft.
Yeah.
It was a reason why they landed somewhere in a predictable place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what about
exactly.
this landing? It went well. Yes, I think.
You had parachutes. I was surprised. I thought you were just going to smash into the ground,
Yeah.
but you had parachutes. I said, "Wow, they got parachutes." Okay.
But why American space ships they don't have parachutes? Teacher?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
But
So
see, you were doing it before us, so you couldn't copy us.
okay.
So I didn't think you knew about parachutes. I thought you were just going to smash into the ground, Russian style.
Yeah. So why bother? Yeah, we just can
Yeah,
stop by hitting the yours. Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
So your ingenuity surprised me. So maybe we copied you with the parachutes.
I'm sure. Sergey, please.
Yes, I remember one moment when Belayev told to Russian Space Agency, we are ready to landing. We plan to land in the Perm region,
Yeah.
in the city in the middle of Russia. But actually, they have landing in Sakhalin, and
Far
the land at the land near Japan in the Pacific Ocean. In the 8,000 kilometers, one mistake. It's a
Sergey, probably you are mistaken, Sergey. They did not land in Sakhalin. It was this guy with radio. He was in Sakhalin, but not they. They landed actually in the Ural region, but they just on the north.
it's a I don't understand. I didn't understand how the radio signal from the Perm region to go to the Sakhalin. It's very far.
Yeah, but it's long waves. Long waves.
It bounces off the atmosphere.
Yeah. If Sergey, you studied physics in university, so
Okay.
if waves are long enough, they, as teacher Ray said, bounce it from atmosphere, and you can listen America. It was kind of a concern. Let's go to that part.
Okay. I agree.
Okay, so they landed somewhere in unpredictable place, and something went wrong with this sauce CO, how we call this? Actually, this beacon or radio.
Beacon, yeah, emergency beacon.
Yeah. So this emergency beacon, as they say it in the movie, can work only in temperature above zero. It's something strange. You are in Russia. What? How you? How you could design this thing? You are not going to land in Italy or Spain, you know.
Yeah.
It was very strange. Jürgen, do you remember this part after landing?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you describe us? Tell us the story.
They
What they do after landing?
they look around and realize they were far from where they want to be.
Yeah, and it was very cold and weather was inconvenient, so they started to make bonfire.
Yeah.
Started to shoot. What's the name for this? Rocket launcher.
Flare.
Okay, they started to fire the flares and just waited, right, for rescue operation. But rescue operation was kind of unsuccessful for many reasons, because of the weather, because of an unpredictable location, and it actually made Korolev very angry. Like, the whole Soviet Union cannot find two guys on our territory. How it's possible? Yeah.
The whole of Soviet Union science. We could make the radio beacon.
Yeah. So it's always, I think it's a Russian way. We can do something very good, but when it comes to a small part, like, clothes or radio beacon, we suck at all. So it doesn't work at all. So, and then there is a part with this radio lover. What's the word for this? Actually, do you remember this guy with this radio station?
Yeah, there was we call them shortwave radio operators. Or ham operators.
Mm-hmm.
They listen to radio for fun. As Ivan said, you can talk to somebody around the world.
Yeah.
If you have shortwave radio. We had a shortwave radio when I was little, so we could hear foreign languages, but I didn't understand them. So I think Pasha figured out he could use Morse code and send a message.
Yeah, and he sent some code, which mean landed successfully. Yeah.
So he sent CV or VN.
Yeah, something like this. I don't
think
remember.
VN, Vietnam. He sent VN, which was a ham radio code for everything's okay, situation normal.
Okay, yeah.
So this radio operator started hearing this beep, 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 and he said, "Oh, luckily he knew Morse code." So he wrote down VN, and he says, "What's that mean?" So he looked in a book and says, "Landed safely," or something like that. So he knew that he had been watching TV, so he knew that they had landed and they were alive.
Yeah.
And he wanted to call the space program, but his wife said, "No, if you call them, they're going to think you're spying on them, and they're going to come arrest you and take you away. Don't call them."
Yeah.
So he waited until the next day.
The reason was actually that it was at the times of Iron Curtains. Do you remember this? Yeah. So it wasn't just not allowed. You have to register your radio station to special department. So
okay.
he was actually violating the law. So that was the reason that wife was concerned. But he had like a personal choice to go to like confess that I am violate this law or to hide this fact.
Okay, I missed that part. Okay.
Sergey, please.
And I think that in the Soviet Union we didn't have radio amateurs, because it's not possible, because we live inside around among the enemies, and well, a radio station could receive these signals from US, from Japan. I think it's not.
It was not.
I'm not
It was illegal. I agree. It was illegal. So it was like you have to register your device, and they check it what kind of wave it makes. So yeah, it was like in North Korea, you know.
Yeah, and
I
check your
don't think so.
background to make sure you're loyal, all that
Now,
stuff. Yeah.
now it's okay, but in 16 years, it's
Yeah.
it's
Now,
not possible.
now we can call Evan through Google Hangout, you know, without monitoring.
So the next day, he said, "I've got to call," and she said, "Don't do it." And he risked his life to
Yeah.
save the astronauts.
Yeah,
So
not life, I
what's
think, but
yeah.
some. It would not
going
be.
to prison? You know.
Yeah, it would not be fine. It would not be fine. It would be something stronger, but I don't know, arrest for a short time or something, and
Yeah.
at least confiscating all this equipment. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe prison. So his wife didn't want to be alone, you know. So now how he made a phone call and got to the space program, I don't know.
It's simple. It's simple, you know, because really, it's simple because the whole country was looking for astronauts. So you call just any police station, and they connect you to, you know.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was simple. Yeah. Another was there was a pun, but it's Russian pun, and it wasn't translated. So landing in Russian, and we call not go to jail, we call sit to jail. We say sit to jail. So land and sit to jail is a one word in Russian. You know, one word. The same word. So he said to his wife, they landed successfully, and she said, and you are going to land as well. So using the same.
Yeah, we can say to land in jail. We can say that in English. Yeah, you're gonna land in jail. Yeah.
Yeah. So they landed, and you are going to land in jail. Yes, that was the hesitation.
Okay. So when he contacted the space program, they were able to somehow narrow it down to one square.
Yeah, we call it triangulation process.
Triangulation, yeah.
Triangulation, yeah. So because they knew exactly the wave, and he got information from him, what time, which direction. So they used a lot of, you know, radio planes. So they found them quickly, I think.
But they almost didn't find them, right?
Yep. Because triangulation, it has a huge mistake, right? It can be 100 kilometers. Yeah.
Well, the helicopter was running out of fuel.
Yep. And weather was bad.
And the weather was bad. And Pasha's hand had frozen on the flare gun, and he couldn't pull the trigger. So Leonov had to hold he said, go slow. My arm's frozen. So he had to, and the helicopter's getting ready to fly away. And they finally shot it, and the helicopter had a mirror and saw behind him.
Yeah.
And he saw the flare behind him, and they went, we found him! Woo!
Yeah, but it's interesting that this pilot of helicopter, he risked his life. Why? Because he was like a companion of Belyaev. So they were personally connected before.
Okay.
Mechanic.
Yeah. So they decided to risk their life, but to make extra effort. So probably it was the key. Yeah. So that's all. Happy end or anything else? Sergey?
Yes, I have noticed 9 years ago. I have a chance to meet this Alexei Leonov, and Alexei Leonov told us about this flight, about other interesting things about Soviet Union, Russian, Soviet Union space campaigns. It was very interesting, and he talked about interesting things with our modern shuttle like Buran, and the most questions about cosmic about space flight, it was toilet, food, and relationships between astronauts. It was very interesting.
Yeah, so time change, right? If before people were enthusiastic about space program, so now it's kind of commodity, yes. And people ask you, so what do you do? Yeah, what's the problem with toilets and all this things? What do you eat? Yeah.
Yes, the second most popular questions about Russian lunar
Moon program.
Russian moon program when we lose to Americans because we have the similar programs, and he talked about why we lose this competition
Okay, and why?
because we have a lot of problem with relationships other department in our space Russian agency.
Okay, bad management.
It-
I'm not surprised.
yeah.
So because of bad management, we failed, right? We lost our competition with Americans. And Sergey, okay, so we must remember Sergey met Leonov in person. Sergey, well done.
So he arrived. They arrived on the Earth, walked down from the airplane, and even when his daughter ran to him and he picked her up, he was remembering his childhood when his dad did the same thing to him. So it kind of started with his childhood and it ended with his childhood. So a good movie technique.
Yeah.
Now, Ivan, you said the the chief designer was a tragic figure. Did something happen to him at the end where he was punished?
It's interesting. He had a complex, would I say, complex life. So he was punished before space program. He was in prison for some ideas or something. Then he went back and took a lot of authority and became famous. And it was all because his brain, because he was it was in the movie. He was he cannot change him for anyone. He was unique guy. Yeah.
You mean he was willing to make difficult decisions?
He made a lot of investigation, and his techniques was unique about this spacecraft.
Oh,
so
yes. Okay.
He was like a scientist, not a manager. He was actually a scientist, an engineer.
Okay, maybe a technical genius of sorts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole space program would be different without him. So that's why he had a lot of power.
Okay. Okay.
So in Russia, at that time, you actually cannot command with military, but he could.
Right. That's why I was surprised. He had some power. Yeah.
and then we lost him, and then we lost space program.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let me see. Let make some slides maybe, and then return back to if you have time to discussion, because I feel pity for Gerard. Tishali, would you? It's
I was just gonna say that the two astronauts, when they came back, did they enjoy some time as national heroes?
Well, they're still our national heroes, but in Russia, if you are a hero, it does not mean something. You don't get anything.
Okay.
we just like you, but you have to work.
Okay.
All the things. But Belayev was older guy. He had 40 at moment of the flight, and he probably I don't remember exactly, but I think so. He was a pilot who makes these test flights for jets, and he had an accident or something.
So he continued to work and have a hard life and die.
Okay. Yeah. Leonov had a better destiny. Yeah, he's still alive, and now he's a politician.
Still alive. Wow.
Yeah, Sergey, am I right?
Wow.
Is Leonov is a politician now? No. Okay, maybe a consultant on something. So, but he's still alive and he's very active. Yeah, we can see.
He's got to be old, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Good. Okay.
Okay, nice. I'm going to share my.
I switch off my microphone.
So you all this time you answered us, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. It was nice. Okay, so our slides. Vasants, please, can you start?
Yes, this is where he landed the jet plane at first. The ejecting technique didn't work because of the careless mistake by the other technician, and he landed it successfully, and all of the crew are appreciating him, and doctors and nurses were approaching him to check for the medical condition. And there is an ambulance, and there is a fire engine.
Yeah, I think because it's a test flight, we have a fire machine here and this medical machine here, because they are always ready that something will go wrong. Yeah.
And it's actually blow the engine, so it's necessary to have it.
Yeah. Can you see this uniform on these soldiers? They have a green like stripe on this hat. Can you see? Teacher Lee, these two soldiers on the left, on the right, they have a green stripe.
Yeah, we'd call that a headband.
Headband, okay.
Or hat band, okay.
Okay, headband. So, Teacher Lee, whenever you see this green stripe, headband, green headband, it's KGB. Be aware.
Was it really, or no? You just kidding me?
No, it's really. So
they were KGB, okay.
Yeah. So
No.
Sergey, correct.
The green light in the flyers, the blue flight in the KGB.
Green, no?
Green for flyers, blue for KGB. Blue or blue.
I call it turquoise. It's kind of blue-green.
Yeah. But it's look. I know that that space program was under the KGB like heading. Yeah.
I guess for security. Okay.
KGB was just a huge organization for everything, So.
Oh, everything. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. All right.
But I see that Sergey disagree with me, and I have to check it later. I will post update in our chat if I mistake.
Yes, and I remember the green for the workers who check the border.
Border guard.
Yeah.
Maybe
and
late.
blue,
Maybe late in 80s. Not on that time, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go. Any question about this picture? Anything new?
We call what he's wearing a flight suit.
Mm-hmm.
With
a parachute.
Special straps and things for flying under high gravity conditions.
And around his hips, I think it's a parachute. No, usually.
Might be a parachute.
Yeah,
he would use that if his ejection seat had worked.
Yeah, bad luck. Yeah.
But he couldn't get out. Yeah.
Yeah. But this jet looks very fancy to me. I would like to drive this one.
It's unusual to us because all of our jets have a pointy nose.
Mm-hmm.
And this one had a flat nose.
Yeah.
So it looked kind of strange to me. Yeah.
Because look at these wings. They don't have turbine. Turbine is in this nose. So
yeah. I guess that's what I figured. Okay.
Yeah. Is it turbine or how we call it? The engine.
Turbine. Yeah, okay. Turbine's good.
Okay. Gerard, please.
This man that running towards the pilot wear something white. How do you call that? White coat, gown?
Usually we call it lab coat or doctor's coat.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a paramedic, I think, so that's why.
They don't usually wear them outside, but this guy did.
Yeah. I think it's a tradition here. Yeah. Okay, another one. Sergey, please describe this one.
It is a flight for parachute person and two person with space parachute helmets and with backpack with inside parachute with the second parachute and space stripes for connecting parachute.
Yeah. This ring, every parachute has a ring when you start it. You just pull it and parachute started. So when you are beginner, you are afraid. You cannot start parachute correctly. So they have these special straps. They do it automatically for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Other two backpacks. I don't know why. And there's a aircraft window and special seatles.
Teacher Lee, and this smoke windows, small ring windows, how we call them? Illuminators? No?
On a ship, we call them portholes.
Potholes. Okay.
On an airplane, I guess we'd call them portholes too.
Okay.
They don't open; you can just look out.
Yeah. Gerard, please.
A question. When you wear a free parachute, there is a sort of ring you have to pull. How do you call that, you know?
We call it a pull ring.
Pull ring. And with a grenade? A grenade?
A pin. We call it a pin.
Okay.
Okay.
Pull the pin. Yeah.
So do you know, guys, that usually this guys has two parachutes? Yeah. What? Mhm.
We call it the main parachute, and if it doesn't work, you have a smaller reserve parachute.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes for beginners there is a third parachute. It's a small and just a trigger where it's a small parachute. It's connected to your pull ring, and it's like automates the process. If you unconscious or something, you know, if you are afraid or scared or lost your mind, so it will be pulled out automatically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just okay. Jorgen, would you like to describe this?
Yes. There is an apple on the table, the bruised apple, maybe.
Yeah, this exactly.
And there is a book with a thing is leaning on the book, seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what it is. And he's painting some art.
That kind of a stand for painting, we call that an easel.
Mm-hmm.
An easel holds your canvas, and you paint on the canvas.
Mm. And what can we say? The woman is reflecting in the TV, or
yeah, we can see her in the mirror. Yeah, in the TV.
Can you say reflecting or?
Yep. Her reflection. Yep.
Reflection. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call the curtains and the white?
Yeah, good question. White curtains and the first one is decoration. The second one is against sun. So how we call?
Yeah, there's probably a name for the light curtains that you can see through, but I don't remember the name. I would just call them heavy curtains and light curtains.
Okay.
Yeah,
this exact like design of the flat and things inside. It's very typical for a Soviet period. Yeah, went to any flat, you will see the same.
Very small
Piano.
Yeah, Gerard, please.
How many TV channels did you have at this time?
Two.
I think so. Yeah.
We had about, I think we had 11 channels at the most.
Yeah.
Not many. And at nighttime, off the air. No broadcasting after 10 o'clock.
The anthem, the American anthem.
Yeah. Yeah. Played the national anthem about an Air Force pilot flying in the clouds. And then
Yeah, we had the same.
Yeah.
So, Vasant, your question is who is on the book cover? Actually, I don't know. It looks like just a farmer, you know, or something. So not
looks like Lenin to me.
No.
No?
No, it's not Lenin. Yeah, it's
Okay.
It is left.
yeah, it's a famous Russian writer, Tolstoy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Tolstoy. All right.
Yeah.
All right. On the piano,
yeah,
there's some sheet music.
Yeah.
and on top of the piano is a metronome.
Yeah.
Tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. So you can time your playing. Tick, tock,
It's
tick,
not
tock.
not only you say time. I think it's for rhythm, right?
Rhythm.
Rhythm, yeah.
For rhythm.
The beat.
Yeah.
Tick tock, tick tock. So you can play it at the right speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
you can probably speed it up. Tick
Yeah,
tock, tick tock,
yeah,
tick tock.
You can. It has like a movable weight on it, so you can put it to the top for longer period and to the bottom for shorter period. You can adjust it. Yeah. This metronome.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I used to have one. Yeah, we all used to have piano and metronome. One, do you have piano in Vietnam in your flats? Oh no, please write in the chat. I'm curious about this. No, okay, only we. Okay, Gerard, please another one.
This looks like a hospital.
Yep.
You can see, we can see the radiators, the heating,
Yeah.
windows with light curtains, lamp. All these very simple beds made with iron. I don't know how do you call that holds the foot of the injured person.
I'm not sure either. Maybe a harness.
A harness, okay.
Yeah, so he broke his leg, but they actually said it's not a broke. It was a old trauma, and it just like
Maybe a crack or a split, maybe.
Yeah, and they say that he need a lot of exercise if he. But military general was against. He said Belayev is old enough already, and he has a trauma. So why should we risk? We have the whole country of pilots. So why?
Yeah.
Leonov was insisting, not very successfully at the beginning. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about how to call this bed as well. We have a lot of them in our hospitals, and it's made of metal, and actually it doesn't have mattress almost. It's like a spiral or something like metal.
Springs.
Yeah, it's hard to describe. Actually, it's it's made of springs. Yeah,
Usually a real thin, cheap bed like that we call a cot.
Cot. Okay.
COT. Sometimes they fold.
Yes.
Sometimes not. So yeah, it's just a cheap metal frame. I'd call it a cot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we still have a lot of them. Yeah, we are
very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor country. Yeah, still. Okay.
What can we call the wall in the corner that is projecting? Or
I don't know what I'd call that. It's probably a ventilation duct.
The element is big.
Yeah, I don't know what we'd call it. Yeah.
And the desk, just a white desk or
a small table.
When a wall or something is two colors, like the wall is white and green, sometimes we'll call that two-tone. It has two colors.
I have that too.
Do you know?
Well, in Russia and in Soviet Union, two-tone wall, it means that it's some kind of governmental building or hospital or something, never in a living room. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Jar, please.
And what about the material of the floor? Are those tiles or what?
Most of the time it's a tile, it's a small squares, it's a ceramic most of the time, especially in hospitals, because some fluids or something like this. So,
different colors.
Different colors,
yeah. Green and beige or something, yeah.
Yeah, we have them in schools and everywhere, like for easy cleaning, yeah. So not in houses, in the buildings. Vasants, please.
Yeah, I think the color represents the uniform or the logo of the department. I think, is that true?
On the floor, you mean?
On the building's color, because usually the postal
wow.
department we use this red color logo. Then all of our buildings are usually white with red color combination. So
Vasans, it's a very good guess, but in Russia everything is green, just green. That's why we always joke about Russian design. It's a boxed, it's green, and it's made of metal. So that's all.
Ugly.
Yeah, it must be ugly, but it's we make it automatically. So it's ugly. It's always. Yeah. Vasans, please, another picture. And we lost Vasans, it seems. Missing. Yeah. Sergey, could you please?
Yes, it's the room for testing space suites and two space helmets with the special I don't know,
Visor.
glass and the oxygen backpack and the table with the planes with scans of space suites. Two persons with the space uniform as nurses and other table.
Mm-hmm.
It's gloves, special gloves.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Do you remember in a helmet they have a special protector from the sun, very shiny one? Teacher Lee, do you remember?
Yeah, we call it the sun visor.
Sun visor, yeah. I think that now we have these sun visors. They are fully automatic, so you don't have to manage them. But at that time, I saw how Leonov they swing this this circle thing.
Yeah, he had some kind of a lever.
Yeah.
Which I thought he was going to get blinded by the sun, but he never did. So
yeah. Okay, and behind them on the wall we have instruction. This piece of paper with a suit. And in Russia we never think that people are intelligent enough. We always have do one, do second part, third part, and so it will be written all these checklists how to wear it.
It looks like they're trying to tighten the sleeves.
Yeah.
So that they're airtight, I guess.
Yes. So it's for what's the word for this? Hermetization, no? To hermetize
Maybe.
it. Yeah. So not allow to air went out, go
right.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the word for this?
We just say airtight.
Airtight. Okay. We use another word. We use word hermetization or something, but
hermetic seal.
Yeah, hermetic seal.
Yeah.
So
same idea.
Mm-hmm.
Something can be watertight and it'll keep water out, or it can be airtight and it'll keep air out. Or
but
in this case. Yeah.
I think for airtight it must be very tight, right? It must almost hurt you.
Yeah.
Okay, so probably you cannot just walk with this suit for your for your leisure time, yeah. So so that's why I surprised that when they landed, I think the first thing what they do it will be wear off these costumes or something like this. Yeah.
It looks almost like he's got a metal ring around his sleeve.
Probably.
So that can't be airtight. So they're probably putting tape around that to seal that opening.
Yeah, I think that tape must be on the skin and then metal ring and it must be hardened. Yeah.
Overlap, yeah.
Something like this. Well, not a pleasant thing, I think.
No.
Yeah, okay. Vasans, are you back? Can you speak with us?
Yes.
Could you please describe this one?
Yes. At this scene, the commander was chief was discussing with the fellow executives. The explosion happened. Not exactly an explosion, but the electrician, the technician who was working on the space shuttle got electrocuted and got shot throw away. How to say that?
Mhm.
So, and he was dead.
He's blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a team of engineers, and we see hangar, with all this industry, all this producing. Doesn't look fancy as always, but it's a experimental like industry. Yeah, catwalks. The device on the right, we call it oscillograph, but in English it must be different.
Oscillograph is okay.
Oscillograph.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oscillograph, yeah.
And this on the left side, behind the Korolev, we can see some bricks. It's not bricks actually. It's what's the word for this? To hold things inside. It's boxes. Do you see this wooden boxes?
Oh, crates, yeah, crates,
Crates. Yeah.
boxes, yeah.
Yes. Design of these boxes tell me that it's military boxes.
Okay.
Usually,
Made them, yeah, metal
yeah.
sometimes.
We
Yeah.
call. Do you know this metal zinc? We call it zinc. How it pronounced? I don't know.
Zinc,
Zinc. Yeah, zinc metal. Yeah, it's
yeah,
almost
cheap. Yeah,
cheap.
yeah, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
So, any questions about this? Or we'll go.
And you can see some sparks.
Yeah.
The little fire sparks.
Yeah, because of electric cut, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's go another one. Okay, medicals. Jorgen, please describe this one.
Okay. He's visiting the doctor who told him, he asked him, have you rest? And he just ignore. And his the doctor says that his heart is high pressure or something like that.
Yeah, he had problem with blood pressure, with heart, with his heart. Yeah, so doctor asked him to have some rest.
Yeah.
But he refused. Yeah. Usual Russian problem is that we cannot delegate anything well, so the head of any company actually always suffer, almost in Japanese manner. Yeah. So anything special about this sofa? It's very typical design. Yeah, Gerard, please.
I've seen that you like flower pots and plants.
Yeah, yeah.
This one in the top of.
Oh, is that a sofa? I thought it was a cot.
Yeah, we call it sofa.
Okay. Okay.
But it's still metal. Yeah, of course.
It's awful cheap looking. Okay.
I find curious the way where you put your plant on the top of the closet.
Yeah.
Very curious.
It's very typical. Yeah, you know, we don't have too much plants outside, so most of our plants is inside, and we put them like everywhere. Yeah. But very rare on the floor. I saw many plants on the floor in Spain, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
It's very untypical for us. It's always on on window, on desk, on clothes, somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, you'll see that on the right, there's a coat rack.
Mm-hmm.
A coat rack is a vertical stand where you can hang coats.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lab coat hanging on the coat rack.
Yeah, exactly.
It has tripod feet. Okay.
Yeah. Metal and cheap as always.
Yep. Clock, curtains. He's wearing a surgical cap. A surgical cap is like a little Jewish cap. It just sits on your head. It has no bill. It just keeps your hair, covered.
Yeah.
So we call that a surgical cap. They wear that when they're doing surgery.
Mm-hmm.
He has a briefcase on the chair for business papers, and he's carrying a trench coat or an overcoat for cold weather. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's do the last one. Gerard, please.
Okay. Okay, we can see two astronauts. I guess they are out to departure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there is a train and a lot. Those people look like military staff and people, civilians also. I can see. So it must be a very cold place, like Siberia.
Yeah, it is.
How do you call these special caps? Bonnets?
Well, Ushanka's is one.
Yeah, but general has a special one. I don't know English name for this. You know, we this one which is high.
We don't have a cap like that in America, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Church people wear them.
Yeah. Sergey,
Maybe a Cardinals hat.
Sergey, how we call this hat in Russian for generals?
Papacha.
Papacha, yeah. It's in Russian it's papacha, but it's probably not translated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not too much
So-
here, but it's interesting that they have a railway. You know, these rockets they always travel by rail, and what else? And I can teach you a small anecdote about Russian space program. Do you remember when they went by bus? They stopped to make a toilet. Yeah, teacher.
Yeah.
It's a tradition in Russia. Every astronaut before go to the space do that. It started by Gagarin. And it become a tradition. It's a kind of a superstition. We think it's for good luck.
Well, it also gives you a little longer before you have to pee in the suit. Also.
Yeah, but you can do that in toilet, right? But we never do that. You have to stop your bus on the field.
Oh, you mean there's a toilet on the bus?
Not on the bus. You just stop
Okay.
your bus. You go
Around the bus.
you do it like on the wheel of the bus.
Like dogs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's strange, but it's like a mandatory thing before before.
Oh, I didn't notice that. So he peed on the wheel?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I missed it.
What
Okay.
about women astronauts?
I don't know how they do that, but I will
I
ask.
think they won't do
Men-
that.
Right, women to left.
Yeah. Vasants, please, question.
Yes. Is it? I mean, does it have any reference with the dog Laika they sent to the moon?
No, I don't think so. I think it's it was a coincidence. On the first flight, Gagarin by something he asked just stop here, and did this, and it's now a tradition.
LCD display at this time.
No.
But it was just a watch clock, like a hand watch or something, protected from space or something. Okay, let me see.
A question here real quick. He's got like an LCD readout on his sleeve. Do you know what that is?
It's a LCD actually, but very simple. It's just a watch, LCD watch.
Oh, it's just a watch. Okay.
Yeah.
What about the orange stripe? Does that have any special meaning?
No, just design, just fancy.
Just decoration?
No.
Okay.
I think that's for finding inside the snow.
Okay. So it's a mark. Just
Visibility. Okay.
visibility.
Yeah.
So, but they have the same design on their helmets. They have a USSR written with the same stripe, So probably just to make them look good because it's supposed to be international show TV.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see what else. His childhood, always referring this gate.
Tether line.
Tether line, yeah. They drawing something. It was very funny at the end of the movie. Do you remember? Leonov said, I had like two options for my career. First one to be an artist, and second one to be an astronaut. Yeah, and Belyaev asked him, why you choose to be an astronaut? He said, because the money is better. In this, in the university, we have what's the word for this? We have some money. University but how it's in English?
Allowance.
Allowance.
balloons.
Okay. I think he also said an artist can't fly, but a astronaut can draw.
Yeah. But it's right. It's a good version. But he said the real version that because scholarship in spacecraft in space university was better. So it was just money. Okay, I forgot. Fall asleep. They are moving to correct this space. Okay, nice photo. I think somewhere in Siberia. This
From Euro.
from Euro, yeah, Euro, not technically Siberia, but Sergey, when we speak with foreigners, you have two places, Moscow and Siberia in Russia.
Okay.
Okay, what else? This amateur radio fan, how we call him?
Amateur.
Amateur. Okay. Okay, it's a very special person. Yeah, very
Announcer.
announcer.
Yeah.
Very famous announcer in the USSR and the Levitan.
Yes,
This special voice.
yeah, special.
Говорит и показывает вся страна.
Now, I have a question, Ivan.
Please.
When the chief designer told the woman to send the message or to broadcast, she said which version? I assume one was success and one was failure. And he said both.
Yeah.
But they only broadcast the death, right? I didn't hear both versions.
It means that he refused to decide. He said send both version and someone above will decide what to declare.
Okay.
Yeah, but this guy is very special for us because he was a voice of official Russian, official Soviet Union voice for the whole war, Second World War, and we just used to hear him because it was him who always said what is going on every morning, every evening. One person, so everyone in Russia knows him by name, by voice, by
reliable.
Reliable, yeah.
Like North Korea's pink lady.
I'm not sure that I like connotation, but okay. Okay, and it's his daughter. Yeah, meeting him. Okay, I'm trying to stop broadcasting. Okay, I come back. So nice movie. I hope you enjoyed it. Gerard, you have to watch it.
Yeah. I just eventually I downloaded the movie with subtitles in Spanish because it was very hard.
Yeah.
Through the link didn't work. The link you sent.
Sorry. Yeah.
In the middle, I found a link, but the subtitles besides.
Yeah, sorry guys, I made a mistake. I check it like the beginning of the movie. I check it subs, and then I think it's okay, and didn't check the whole movie. Yeah.
But search for Age of Pioneers, Gerard. That's how I found it in English.
I found in Spanish is a spacewalk.
Yeah,
spacewalk. Okay.
Two names.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we have time maybe for last question, if any, and then we'll go. So let me see on our Padlet. Did we answer all the questions? So I understand there is a lot of context. So receive it and agile. I think we have 3 questions on the Padlet. Let me copy them, and I think we answered all of them. It's good for us. Yeah.
I'll make one comment. In the old days, radio operators, amateur radio operators, had to learn the Morse code and pass a test.
Mm-hmm.
I think today they are no longer required to know the Morse code. So, remember in Star Trek, they always knew the Morse code. And I'm going, come on.
I used to know the Morse code because I had a toy in my childhood, and I can bet that Sergey knows as well. Yeah.
Yes, and when I was in Russian army, I was the Morse radio telegraphist.
Okay.
And
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time you can send a message by Morse for us. Yeah? Vasant, please, your question.
Yeah, one thing that bugs me is they were using pencils in the spacecraft. I think the space pen was designed after this timeline. I think.
Yeah, that's the Russians' $7 million space pen. We spent $7 million.
Yeah, it's a very, very old anecdote. I hope, guys, you know it. It's I don't. We discussed it once in our chat, but years ago. Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, come to our chat, Telegram chat, and we will discuss it again. It's a joke between American pen and Russian pencil. You know, in a space program.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Americans spend $6 million for a space pen. The Russian version is a pencil. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's true.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Fantastic discussion. See you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Bye.